I'm Bob, an average and common employee. I've been working as a salesman for a general trading company for 4 years now. While my peers are starting to achieve impressive results and getting promotions, I still haven't made any notable accomplishments. Given that I naturally don't stand out and neither my looks nor personality are particularly striking, I was perceived by those around me as the incompetent worker. Every month, my boss would reprimand me about not meeting my sales targets, and instead of being respected by my juniors, I just felt like they found me bothersome. Bob. Yes, sir. One day, out of the blue, I was called by the sales director, and with a heavy heart, I approached his office. Director, did you call for me? Picking up some documents, the director frowned. More gripes about my performance. I listened to the director with a heavy heart. Bob, it seems you didn't meet your sales quota again this month. Yes, I apologize. I'm not asking for an apology. Do you even have any motivation? I don't see any motivation at all in your daily work. Isn't it because you're doing a lousy job that sales aren't growing? No, I never intended. Your peers are now supervisors and managers, right? Don't you feel anything when you see your colleagues becoming top sales? Well, when the director starts his lectures, the office goes silent, and everyone gets absorbed in their own tasks, trying not to get involved. Being called into his office typically meant being reprimanded for over 30 minutes. All I could do was bow my head and apologize profusely. I want you to go on a sales trip to the neighboring state next month. If you can't secure even one contract, don't think of returning to this department. What? Does that mean I'm getting fired? Compared to our area, the neighboring state had a higher percentage of young people and single folks, making it a notoriously tough place to secure contracts within the company. Maybe the director was intentionally sending me there to get rid of me. What's with that sour look? If you get even one contract, I'll exempt you from next month's quota, all right? Yes. I want to see how serious you are about your job. Understood. Excuse me. There's no arguing with the director's orders. And so, my trip to the neighboring state was decided. The business trip is for 3 days, and I absolutely have to secure at least one contract. That was the condition set by the director. Why did it have to be the place even my peers say it's tough to get contracts? Honestly, thinking about the next 3 days drained my appetite. I got off at the nearest station to the hotel I had booked and immediately started making my rounds in the residential areas surrounding the station. We're good. Not interested. I see. Excuse me. Even just after introducing myself through the doorbell, I'd get turned away with a clearly irritated voice. Quit bothering us. We don't accept salespeople here. Get out. Excuse me. After being turned down over a dozen times, already my heart was breaking. I mean, I don't mean to complain my company's product, but the penetration rate of water dispensers in general households is still low. I personally don't see the need for a water dispenser. Tap water is just fine. It's a tabletop water dispenser developed by our company that provides delicious natural water at a fixed rate every month. But I wonder if there's any demand outside of affluent or health-conscious households. Man, I'm beat. I arrived in the town in the afternoon, and before I knew it, dusk had settled. Wiping the sweat off my forehead, I took a seat on a park bench. As I stared blankly at the sky, I felt a wave of emptiness and was on the verge of tears. Suddenly, I felt a cold drop on my cheek. It was a sudden rain shower. Drops started to fall, and in a flash, it turned into a downpour. I quickly got up from the bench. Seriously, can't I catch a break? Tossing an empty plastic bottle into the trash bin near a vending machine, I left the park. I was on my way to check in at a hotel, heading towards the train station. As I passed by the riverbank, I glanced over and saw a woman, soaked to the bone, standing by the river's edge. Who would stand there without an umbrella in this heavy rain? Though I should have just moved on, Something inside me stirred, and I approached the drenched woman, calling out, "Are you all right? Being out here alone in this rain, you'll catch a cold." She turned around, startled. She was strikingly beautiful, with a well-composed face. I wondered if she was an office worker. Despite her soaked suit, our eyes met, and I felt my heart race. It wasn't just her captivating gaze, but the fact that she had been crying. Her moist eyes were red and swollen, and her complexion was very pale from being wet in the rain for so long. "I'm sorry. Please leave me alone. I want to be alone. It's dangerous here," I replied. The riverbank was muddy from the rain, and if she slipped and fell into the river, it would be serious. Maybe I was being pushy, but I grabbed her wrist. "Let me go. I'll let go if you step away from the river." "Why? It's none of your business." Tears streamed down from her eyes as I held on to her. "I can't just stand by and watch when you look like you might fall into the river any moment." As I insisted, she tried to shake off my grasp. "Whoa, she twisted herself and slipped. Careful, she lost her balance and was about to fall into the river. In a panic, I reached out with both hands, grabbing her arm and pulling with all my might to lift her up. She looked at me, wide-eyed in astonishment. "Why are you doing so much for me?" I wasn't sure why I was so determined myself. But it'd be a real disaster if she had fallen into the river and drowned. In such a situation, I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Seemingly trusting me, she took my hand. Later, she said, "As a thank you for helping me, would you like to have coffee at my apartment?" I found myself being led to her apartment. For a regular bachelor like me, this was the first time entering a woman's place. Feeling a bit nervous, I took off my shoes at the entrance, and she handed me a towel from her dresser. "Thank you." "You're welcome, don't worry." In the stillness of the apartment, a man and a woman, both wet, were alone wiping themselves down. She, appearing a bit restless, finished drying off first and began heating water in the kitchen. Glancing around the room, I noticed a photo frame on the dresser. From where I was, I couldn't see the faces clearly, but it was evident it was a picture of a man and a woman. Did she have a significant other? Well, considering how beautiful she is, it wouldn't be surprising. Feeling a tad disappointed, I sat at the dining table and waited for her to bring over a tray. "Here you go." "Ah, thank you." The woman sat down across from me. After sipping the freshly brewed coffee, I broached the topic. "Why were you staring at the river in the rain?" When I asked her directly, she shook her head slightly. "Whenever I'm sad, I've always been drawn to the water. Somehow, it calms me." "I get that, but please be careful. What if something had happened?" "It's okay. Ever since I lost him, there's been no spark left in my life." "I'm sorry, what?" With a sad smile, she picked up the photo frame to show me. "We are twins." It seemed I mistakenly thought her brother was her boyfriend. Looking closely at the picture, he indeed looked strikingly similar to her in appearance and atmosphere. "What happened to your brother?" "He died in a car accident 4 years ago, just when he had landed his dream job." Listening to her story, I learned her brother was my age. That's truly heartbreaking. We lost our parents at a young age, so we only had each other. I jumped from job to job, but I could push through any hardship for his sake. Regret was absent in her voice as she talked about the past. Upon closely observing her hand gripping her cup, I noticed rift patches and evident signs of wear and tear. Seeing where my gaze landed, she blushed and hid her hands. "I do a lot of manual labor, and my hands get rough easily. I'm embarrassed, so please don't look." It appeared she had jiggled multiple jobs, including office work and part-time jobs, to make ends meet. She had stopped working part-time after her brother's death, and she seemed a bit self-conscious about it. "You might not like looking at these battered hands." "Not at all. They're a testament to how hard you've worked for your family. It's impressive. Thank you. I scratched my head in embarrassment at my uncharacteristically impassioned speech in response to her modesty. She responded with a gentle smile that left me flustered. I was dazzled by her beautiful smile, and now she asked me a question. Sorry to ask you, but what brought you to the riverside? Right. I never mentioned it. My name's Bob. I'm a salesman for Gold Mountain Corp. Oh, I see. Sorry, I didn't tell you my name earlier. After introducing myself, she shared her name as well. She went by Erica and was 2 years older than me. I'm sorry for the inconvenience during your work time. Don't worry about it. Work is, well, work, you know. Actually, today I walked around this town's residential area all day and couldn't secure a single contract. I have 2 more days on this business trip, but honestly, I can't help but feel anxious. Then, Erica looked me straight in the eyes and said, But Bob, I bet you'd handle any job with style, wouldn't you? Excuse me. It was a genuine compliment from Erica, but I shook my head in denial. That's giving me too much credit. I can't secure any contracts, and while my peers are getting promotions, I'm still just an ordinary employee. I didn't intend to whine about such pitiful things to a woman, but perhaps I let my guard down around the soothing presence of Erica, letting more slip out than I meant to. I was never cut out for sales. I don't have the guts, and I'm not as brilliant as my peers. I don't know when I will be fired from my job if my performance continues at this rate. Bob. Seeing me bear my insecurities, Erica's voice grew more stern. She overlaid her palm on mine, gripping it with conviction as she spoke. Where's the brave Bob, who saved me from the river? Well, you saved me even though it might have been dangerous for you too, didn't you? I saw how hard you tried to help me, and that made me feel safe to trust you. That was just because I was desperate. I just couldn't leave you there. It's the same with your work, isn't it? With people can feel your kindness and sincerity, things will surely go well. Erica's palm was warm, reminding me of the human warmth I had long forgotten. I never really thought about being earnest or passionate about my work since joining the company. After struggling with job hunting, I joined Gold Mountain Corp. Out of compromise, and I can't deny that I was insincere about a job I didn't want. My peers, on the other hand, were recognized for their motivation and personality from the start. They were favored by the department head. While I was somewhat skeptical of grunt work of salesmen, they were so enthusiastic about their work that they took the initiative to go out on field trips and did not return home until they got a contract. But sales isn't so simple that results come just by trying hard. Erica, without blaming me for making excuses, replied in a soothing voice. You work at Gold Mountain Corp, right? Yes, why? I have something I want you to see in my brother's room. For me? Yes, please follow me. I followed Erica into the room she led me to. My brother's room has been left as it was when he passed away. On the neatly arranged desk, I was shocked to find familiar brochures and flyers with products. This is our company's brochure. Yes, if my brother were alive today, I believe he would have been working alongside you at the same company. Really? On her brother's desk, there were also comprehensive reports about Gold Mountain Corp. And self-help books about the mindset for sales. Erica's brother must have been enthusiastic about the job. Compared to him, where was I standing? From the start, I had given up trying, blaming the environment and customers for not securing contracts. My brother was so happy saying, "Now I'm a working adult too. I can support you, sis." I might not be in a position to say this, but I want you, Bob, to work hard not just for yourself but for my brother as well. I'm rooting for you. Erica, I felt like I had a bucket of cold water dumped on me. After that, I decided to leave the apartment after thanking her, as it was past check-in time at the business hotel. The next day, after staying at the motel, early in the morning, I got dressed. stuffed my bag with information on water dispensers and brochures, and once again walked every inch of this town. May I have a moment of your time? I'm a bit busy right now. I'd at least like to give you this information. Please accept it. Just like the first day, the response wasn't great, but I earnestly bowed my head, talked to those willing to listen, handed out brochures, and felt a sense of accomplishment in my own way, even if just dropping information in mailboxes. However, even after 3 days on the road, I couldn't secure a single contract. A few days after returning, I was summoned by the department manager. It would be a reprimand for not meeting quotas. Feeling dejected, I headed to the director's office. "You wanted to see me. It's about your recent trip. I'm truly sorry. I couldn't secure a single contract." As I bowed deeply, the director stood up and gave me a reassuring pat on the shoulder. "We got 2 calls from the neighboring state yesterday. They want to sign contracts after considering your passionate presentation." "What? You've got potential, Bob. Keep up the good work. I'm counting on you. Thank you so much." For the first time in a while, I met my sales quota. That moment of joy rekindled my passion for the job. Later on, I visited the homes of the customers who had decided to sign contracts. The first was an elderly couple who were kind enough to listen, and the second, to my surprise. "Bob, it's been a while." "Hello, Erica." It was Erica, the attractive woman I met by chance on a rainy day. "I believe my brother brought us together." "The pleasure is mine." Since then, I have had a good relationship with Erica, talking about each other's work and occasionally about our private lives. Work is not always smooth, and sometimes I compare my contract numbers with those of my peers and feel down, but at such times I try to push myself to do my best for Erica's twin brother. People around me are surprised by the change in me, but this is who I truly am. With these thoughts, I'm determined to keep working hard,